Hey, Gene Burnett from GeneBurnett.com. Hey, I just thought I would talk a little bit today, kind of a part 2 on my earlier video that's called That's Not Tai Chi. This would be That's Not Tai Chi Part 2, or more on That's Not Tai Chi. I think that a lot of people who do Tai Chi can get pretty dogmatic sometimes about what Tai Chi is and what it's not. This is the true way, that is the true way, this is the authentic way, this is the way that it was originally intended to be, that kind of stuff. And I don't know, I understand that point of view, but it's not really one that I share or put a lot of energy into. I feel like it's more productive to think in terms of Tai Chi principles, like core principles, things like Tai Chi being based on a kind of unforced balance, a balance of yin and yang, a balance of hard and soft, both within your body and in relation to other bodies. Things like good skeletal alignment, soft relaxed muscles, open joints, connected to the breath, fluid movements that are graceful, efficient, and non-injurious. Things like that. If those are your core principles, then it seems to me that the question is just how much pressure are you going to take on those principles? How much are you going to pressure that or pressure test it to see if you can maintain it? Some people hardly pressure test it at all. They're doing kind of just a vaguely martial yoga. It's a chance to get up and move around, a chance to meet other people, like the kind of Tai Chi you might see at a senior center or a YMCA or something like that. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. Some people are a little more focused on, a little more focused martial yoga. So when they're doing the movements, they have more attention to the kinetic chain that brings the force from their legs up and out. Another key principle, rooted in the feet, powered by the legs, directed by the waist, expressed by the hands or the arms. And, that's cool too. It's a little bit more martial, it's a little more attention to posture, it's a little more, grounded or a little more solid, but people like that, maybe they don't test it at all as far as, other people and pushing hands, or maybe they do pushing hands that's only, within a certain game. They'll do certain exercises, certain ways of doing it, and that's it. Other people want to pressure test it more. And so they'll have less compliant partners, not just exercises, but like a free-form kind of a conversation about balance and trying to off-balance the other person. Some people still might take it further and include throws and grappling and what looks kind of like wrestling from the outside. It's not pretty, and the yielding is small and not easy to see. It's quick. You don't have time to do all this, kind of matrixy stuff. Other people take it to another level and they want to compete with other people and have really non-compliant opponent who really wants to push you over or take you down to win the tournament and get points. Other people take it to the point of sparring and making some real contact with another person to see if they can, again, maintain good posture, maintain lack of injury, maintain relaxed muscles, floating joints, maintain that the root is in the feet and the power is in the legs, that they're not forcing their will on the other person, that they're working with the other person to defeat them, not just overpowering them with brute force. Other people take it past sparring and they go towards, actual fighting, maybe like competition of fighting, or maybe even to the point of deliberately getting into fights, going to bad neighborhoods and asking people if they can make change for a $100 bill, or, joining the army, or doing some real combat. And to me, these are all arenas, they're different arenas. I personally train for daily life. I try to keep my martial tools, sharp. I don't want them to be muddy. When I punch, I want to really punch, but I don't fight. I don't train for that. I don't do it at that speed and that intensity. I train mainly for daily life, but I see daily life as a martial situation, and I want to be ready for whatever comes next and keep my, my tools, both martial and just physical, my physical tools on a dimmer switch and ready to respond to the next thing. So, you know, I think the key is to just be honest about what arena that you train these principles in. How much do you pressure test it, and call it all Tai Chi if it's obeying those basic principles. People who do martial Tai Chi often look at people who do, you know, more martial yoga kind of Tai Chi and say, oh, that's not really Tai Chi Chuan, that's not really Tai Chi. And people who do kind of more energy focused or like a subjective feeling focused Tai Chi, or in a limited, you know, they permit a limited amount of force. They won't permit much force the way that they do it. They eschew force of anything past a handful of ounces of pressure. You know, they'll look at the stuff that's more hardcore and say, oh, that's not Tai Chi, you know, that's not the real Tai Chi. They're wrestling, or they're grappling, or they're using force, or using too much force, but they're just pressure testing at another level. If somebody really came at you like that, you'd be using more force too. So I think it's more productive to think in terms of the principles, are the principles being obeyed, and to think in terms of what arena you train in, and most importantly, to be honest about the level that you train in. The one thing that really bothers me is people who have never been in a fight or have a very limited fighting experience talking about Tai Chi as a martial art and a self-defense system, like this will work against this kind of attack, and this is what I do when someone does that, and this is effective in this situation or that situation, when they don't actually fight. And they don't, sometimes I just think it isn't like you have to be fighting right now, but you have to have been at least somewhat of a fighter to teach self-defense. You have to know something about the territory, you know. And when people say that so-and-so was a great martial artist and fighter, and they have no record, no fighting record, there's only one or two anecdotal stories from really devoted followers about what they did that one time when this one dude tried that one thing, you know, I take that with a big, big grain of salt, because they have a lot to gain from maintaining that reputation, especially in their own lineage. But when somebody, you know, has a bit of a record, or you know, proved themselves, took challenges, that kind of thing, then I feel like they're a little more qualified to talk about self-defense, like real life combat applications. So my recommendation is, think of it all as Tai Chi if they're obeying the principles, just pressured at different levels and different arenas, and be honest about the arena you're in, and be a little generous towards people who are training and expressing those principles in a less compliant or more compliant arena of play. And maybe we can just we'll all get along a little bit better if we do that. So thanks for listening. I appreciate it. You can visit GeneBurnett.com for more information about me and my books and music and stuff I do, or just subscribe to my YouTube channel right here.